I'm gonna hit record. All right, welcome everyone to today's learning session, Arizona Gives Workshop Marketing Toolkit 201. So some of you who've registered, you might be saying, well, I thought that Dre Harris of Doulas Consulting would be hosting this training. I am clearly not Dre, but I am Angela Palmer. I am the Director of Events and Marketing here at the Alliance. Dre could not be with us today, but I promise you that you are in good hands. So I work on the Alliance team where we are the facilitators for Arizona Gives Day. So I am intimately aware of all of the things that that go into AZ Gives, but I've also hosted my own fundraisers for Arizona Gives when I worked at different nonprofits. So like I said, I promise you are in good hands. If you need closed captioning, that is available for you at the bottom of the screen. We are recording this and we'll be sending the recording out tomorrow. So you will be able to access everything that we're doing and view that then. I do recommend, if you can, to follow along as much as possible, but today's going to be a little bit less hands-on than the 101. So we did on Monday the Marketing Toolkit 101 training where we talked about different ways to very easily make changes to the toolkit to fit your organization. If you missed that, I want to attend. Karina is going to drop the link to that webinar archive item for you to be able to access that. You do not need to have watched that before watching this, but we will be doing some things that are overlap. So we are going to talk very briefly about what the marketing toolkit is, where to find it, how to access it, etc. The poll questions are going to be the same today because we've got some new people on the call. But today we're really going to focus on strategy and how you can best amplify your message using some of those tools and what I recommend. So we do have a strategy document we'll be dropping in as we get closer to that. But we just wanted to let you know. Karina, any housekeeping things that I'm forgetting?
Nope, that's it.
Great. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's get started. Since I know we have some different people and some same people, please bear with me if you've already answered these questions before. But while you're going through and answering, also consider putting your information in the chat box. Who you are, what you do for the nonprofit organization, what nonprofit organization, and where you're headquartered. While you're doing that, I'm going to launch the first poll of today, which is, have you participated in AZ Gives previously? So this is just a simple yes or no. If you don't know, you can just not answer for right now. Let's see. Great. Looks like we're a pretty even split today with some yeses and some nos. So that's great. Welcome to those who are new and welcome back to those who have already participated previously. So my next question is, have you downloaded the AZ Gives Toolkit? So this is a yes, this is a no, or it is, what is the toolkit? Either of those are acceptable. We promise to not shame you if you have not or you don't know what that toolkit is. Thanks, Judy and Nikki, for introducing yourselves in the chat. All right, we're going to end this. All right, it looks like most people have said yes, but there's a few no's and a few who still don't know what the toolkit is. So that's great. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about that today. And then finally, the last question is, would you be interested in receiving the native files for the toolkit? And that's a yes, a no, and what are native files? Also, again, you will not be judged based on your answers to these questions. So we'll just wait a few more minutes. All right, great. So this one's interesting because it's actually split pretty evenly between yes, you would, no, you wouldn't, and what are native files. So all of that we're going to talk about really quickly here. So again, like I said, we do have the 101. So if you're new, you don't know what the toolkit is, you want to dive a little bit more deeply into that, please watch that. Karina's already dropped a link to that in the chat. We'll also include that in the follow-up email for you to be able to access. And that's especially great for those who are new. It'll be a little bit more in-depth about how you could use all of those toolkit resources versus today, we're going to talk a little bit more about that strategy. How can we use these? What should you be doing, etc. So let's get started. We're going to start with going over what the toolkit is very quickly, how to access it, and also what native files are and how to access those native files. Oops, I do want to say that I'm going to turn my camera off while I pick up the things that I dropped. That should you have questions at any time during this presentation, your best bet is to put those questions in the chat box at any given time. Karina will be monitoring them and she'll be interrupting me as we're going to ask those questions. Additionally, if we have time at the end, we will spend time answering those. Last session, we did have some extra time I was able to build into the day. So if we need to go over by about 5 minutes, we could still do that thing. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so the toolkit is basically a whole bunch of different resources that exist for the nonprofits to use to, help them promote Arizona Gives Day. So you can only access this on the back end of the website. My back end looks a little bit different because I am an administrator. However, to find it, there is a button called Toolkit. So you're going to click on that and then you're going to scroll down and it'll give you the option to download your Arizona Gives Toolkit now. So you can do that thing. But I will say, for those of you who are interested in receiving the native files, you can actually email us directly and I will send those over. So I do have a few people who I'm going to be sending those over to who already made the request after the 101. Those will get sent out today. For those who don't know, native files are basically all of the design files that you would need to be able to make more in-depth edits in the Adobe suite. So that'll include font files, it'll include images, and all the separate images that make up that one image. So that's really what native files are. If you do not have a marketing person or you don't have a person on staff who knows graphic design, then just downloading the Arizona Gives Toolkit should be enough for your organization. So once you click download your Arizona Gives Toolkit now, you're going to just be taken to this form. It's just very basic. It just allows us to see who's downloading the toolkit so we can kind of track that. And once you fill this form and hit submit, your toolkit is going to appear here. All of these are hyperlinks to the different resources that exist. So you don't have to click out of this. If you just click on this, it should download to your computer and then go from there. Display digital ads. Really quickly, let me explain what all these things are. So those display digital ads are the different ads that you can use for Google. If you're going to do them there, you could use them for web banners, you could use them for email banners, etc. They come in multiple different sizes. Infographics are really about Arizona Gives in particular. So we've raised this much money over time. This many nonprofits are being helped, invest in us, etc. Social media, we have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as Instagram story posts that you can go in. You can customize a bunch of them. You can use them as is to post on your organizational social media. We have customizable print ads in which there is dedicated space for you to go in and add images from your organization as well as text. There are also full page print ads that are already ready to go, half and quarter page print ads ready to go, tax credit print ads ready to go. And then for those of you who tend to use mostly logos and then your own imagery, that's also in there. Okay, very quickly, I'm going to stop share. Do we have questions about what is in the toolkit or how to access it.
And then just a reminder, if you do want those native files, email marketing@arizonanonprofits.org instead of requesting it in the chat.
Yes, if you request it in the chat, there's a good chance that I will not remember. So please send me that email. Yes. Any other questions? Perfect. So we're going to dive right into strategy. And before I share my screen to talk about that, what I want to talk about is the strategy that I am recommending is really based on the successes that I have seen by other organizations or success that I have seen in organizations where I led the marketing team. You can do whatever you want, right? These are just recommendations. You can pick and choose things that work for you. But if I were running an Arizona Gives campaign for a nonprofit and I was the lead marketing person, this is what I would do. Okay. So, Karina, I'm going to have you share that document now, and then I'm going to share my screen. Thank you in advance. All right, so the document we're going to share with you is literally just a calendar, okay? The document is a PDF. If you want the Word version, we can also include that in the follow-up resources if you want to make changes to it and use it as your own. This calendar document only goes from February through April because that's when AZ Gives is, right? And it's very basic, it's very simple, but I'm going to go over all of the things that I recommend. Before we get into it, I will say I do have a key down here. So anything that's been highlighted in yellow are basic AZ Gives dates to know. There are only 3 on this calendar. The green are actions that I suggest that you take on your Arizona Gives profile. The fuchsia, I guess that's the color I'm going to call that, are emails. And the blue are things that I suggest on social media. So let's go dive into a little bit of what I recommend. So it's already February. You only now have 2 months until Arizona Gives Day hits. If you have not started working on your campaign, it is time to do that right now. So the things that I recommend doing this month is making sure your profile is up to date on the AZ Gives platform. So that is task number 1, right? We want to make sure, if I were you, that all of the most pertinent information is at the very top of that profile so that your potential donors don't have to go hunting. What is your mission? What are the most important things that you want donors to know that might potentially drive them to give, right? So those 1 or 2, that elevator speech, that needs to go there. Below that, if you want to fill out more information, I highly suggest, if you can, add a story, add a second story, add more information about why this donation matters, add information about what you're going to do with the donations. Talk about why your goal, which you should be setting when you're updating that profile, why your goal is set for that amount. You could talk about if you have a matching gift, what that matching gift is for and what you're planning on using it for. But make sure you update that profile and you keep it up to date. Not included in this is that you should potentially update that profile again as we get closer to say, if you're close to your goal and you want to increase it, then do that. If you have a different story, if you have something new that just arrived or just popped up that you want to add, then you want to be updating those profiles as things occur. So sorry, I have a barking dog. Please forgive me. Next on your need to do on the AZ Gives platform is you want to add any volunteer opportunities that you may have. So this is a newer item that we've had on the platform where people can organizations can go in, excuse me. State what kind of volunteer opportunity. Sorry. Um, Today is the day they decide to work. So your volunteer opportunities could be anything from, if you're looking for new board members, it could be mentoring opportunities. It could be continuing volunteer opportunities. It could be one-time volunteer opportunities. Anything that could be a volunteer opportunity, this is a good time to do it because we have seen increases in volunteer hour pledges. Okay, so then you also do have the option to go in and set up donation amounts. So when people click on donate, you could say, hey, we want you to donate at the $25 level, and that means this to our organization. Hey, we want you to donate at the $50 level, and that means this at our organization. So you want to set up those donation amounts really thoughtfully of, maybe you pull last year's data and you see how many people gave at different dollar amounts. If you saw a lot of people donating at the $10 amount, maybe you want to push them to the 15 or the 20 and see if you could increase your donations in that capacity using just those different buttons. Okay, I apologize for my dogs barking. I think we've calmed down a little. Do we have questions about AZ Gives profile update?
None in the chat so far.
Okay. All right. So once we do that, we're also going to then start really bumping up our social. And like I said, this is a very basic strategy that most organizations could do without a huge time commitment. So in the beginning of February, you would post, hey, we're participating in Arizona Gives. Did you know? Do you know about AZ Gives? Are you going to support us, etc.? To go along with that, also in February, you could send an email to a bulk of your supporters, which if you need a template, we do have our full page ad that is a template that you could drop your information into and then use as a template for your emails, in which you say, hey, supporters, and maybe you segment this based on people who've given multiple years in a row, people who are your volunteers, right? They're the people who are really active with your organization. Maybe you send it to your staff and say, hey, staff, are you willing to support us on AZ Gives? Maybe it's your board, etc. So you send an email to those supporters and say, hey, did you know that you can support us on AZ Gives by creating a fundraiser page? A little birdie told me that this year we might have some prizes for fundraiser pages. So why not have the potential to increase your chances of winning that prize if you have more people creating those fundraiser pages for you? And really, the benefit of AZ Gives is your crowdfunding. The more people who participate, the more people who create these fundraising pages and share them, the more likely your organization will meet its goal, will be successful. We just want more and more people to know about AZ Gives. So I recommend sending emails to your supporters about fundraiser pages twice in the month of February. So the first email will come early. Hey, did you know you can support us on AZ Gives by creating a fundraiser page? It's super easy. Here are the steps. And those steps and all that information can be found on the AZ Gives platform. And then you send an email later in the month that says, thank you to those who've already done this. But if you haven't, there's still time, right? And we just want to keep that in the forefront of their mind. And so you partner that with social posts that say, hey, do you want to support us on AZ Gives? Did you know you can create a fundraiser page, right? So that's what I'm suggesting for the month of February, really focusing on getting your profile up to date with your stories, your information, your donation levels, and also your volunteer opportunities. You start working on your social media by encouraging people to know that you exist on AZ Gives. This is where you are. This is what's going to happen. Encouraging your best supporters to create fundraiser pages, and then in email, following those create fundraiser pages with that email support.
Angela, could you elaborate on the fundraiser pages on AZ Gives? Did you mean their organization page, or what specifically?
Yeah, so there are actually any individual has the opportunity to go in and create a specific fundraiser page for any organization. So let me stop sharing. I can change my screen. Let's see. I just saw one today that had some. So let me see. I was kind of scrolling through. All right, so let me share my screen again. All right, so I was scrolling through different organizations today, and that's why I know that Hoofs and Horns has some fundraiser pages. So if you scroll down on any organizational page, you can see if there are actual fundraisers that have been set up for this nonprofit by other people. And if they click this button on your page, they can create their own fundraiser in which they can then share that out to their constituents. Does that answer that question?
I believe so.
Great. Any other questions?
I just sent a link for, if you don't know how to do a Facebook fundraiser, there's a link in there. You can read more about that as well.
So I will say, if you are participating in Arizona Gives, all of your links to donate when you mention Arizona Gives have to go to the Arizona Gives platform that is in your terms of service. So if you're asking people to donate in an email, if you're asking them to donate using Facebook, if you're asking them to donate in using social media, they all need to be directed to the azgives.org platform. And whatever every organization has their own link. So for example, Hoofs and Horns, this is their individual link. And this is the link that they would need to send in all of that communication. So that's really important because that is something that you all agreed to when you signed your terms of service. It's also important because there might be some people on this call who know if we see that you're directing to a different platform or your own website, you might get an email from me asking you to redirect to the AZ Gives website. That helps us to make sure that the people who are donating and the people who are looking for Arizona Gives are giving to legitimate nonprofit causes. And we're not able to monitor that if people are directing them to their own websites. Other questions? Great. Okay. Let me share my screen again. All right, so these are the tasks I recommend for February. All right, we're gonna go into March and we're gonna amp it up. Not that much, just enough, right? So I suggest continuing with social the whole time, telling people, hey, we exist, we're gonna be on AZ Gives, you can create a fundraiser, etc. But in March, early giving starts on March 15th. Which means that's when you can start asking people for donations. So my suggestion is that before the 15th, so sometime that week before, you send an email and you do a social post, at least one, that gives people the opportunity to know how they can support you on AZ Gives, right? Starting on March 15th. Now, you might be saying, but I thought AZ Gives is in April. Yes, it is. But your donations count towards the prize pool starting March 15th. And all of those donations still go to you no matter what time those donations occur. So you just have a much larger window if you utilize early giving than if you just focus on the day that is AZ Gives. So that first email is really kind of just gearing people up to know that giving is about to start. Will you support us? And maybe it's that you do this in a few social posts, plus in the email, maybe you have a bulleted list of different things that they can do. They can share a fundraiser page, they can create a fundraiser page, they can donate, they can pledge volunteer hours, they can share your link, etc. So all of those different ways that you want people to engage with you on AZ Gives, that's what I would tell them that week before. If you don't want to have a million call to actions and a social media post, then schedule multiple social posts that week. Yes, Karina?
To clarify about the early giving and what exactly that means, Judy asked, so we can't start asking before March 15th.
You can start asking before March 15th, but early giving for Arizona Gives Day in particular starts on March 15th.
Let us
And
know,
so,
Judy, if that didn't answer your question.
yeah, so the way our prize pools work is that only donations that start on March 15th will count towards those prize pools. And prize pools will be announced shortly. We just had a meeting about it today. Other questions, Karina?
No, that is it.
Okay. So you want that gear up email, right? You wanna get people to know that early giving's coming. They can give at any time. The 15th, when early giving starts, you also want to do a social post. You also want to do an email that says early giving started. Are you going to support us this year for Arizona Gives? Right? Direct them again to the AZ Gives platform so that you are adhering to your terms of service. And just keep going with that the whole month of March. How are you going to draw people in to get them to donate to you? So basically, what I say is that you need to tell them that you're participating. You need to tell them ways that they can support you. You also need some sort of story. If you've participated in AZ Gives before, maybe you have a great story about some sort of donation that directly aligned with some need that arose, right? Tell that story, but be as succinct as possible, right? You don't want people to be reading pages and pages. I would say a paragraph, maybe two of story. Pair it with really amazing photos about that story or related to that story. And if you don't have images, stock images work. That's why they exist. So do your best. However, I will say that the stories are the things that get people the most interested and are what really pushes people to want to give. Is when I give, what happens to my dollar? When I give, what are you going to do with this? What have you done with this in the past when people have given? So utilize those. But keep also adding stories. The more stories, the better. Reminding people of the different ways they can support. Reminding people that they can already give, even though it isn't technically AZ Gives Day. And then on the 29th, which is 1 week away from when AZ Gives is, you need to be sending an email and doing social posts about that. Hey, AZ Gives is 1 week away. Have you given yet? There's still time. On social, AZ Gives is 1 week away. Give today. You don't have to wait, right? The goal of AZ Gives is to raise as much money for nonprofits as possible and help you build your capacity with those dollars. So you don't want them to necessarily have to wait until this 24-hour period. The goal is to get the money, so get them to give you the money, regardless of whether or not it's during that early giving period or it's on AZ Gives, or even, to be quite honest, which I'll talk about in a minute, if it's after the fact. All right. Any questions about March or anything else that has popped up?
Nope, nothing so far.
Perfect. All right. And then we hit the big day, right? So you can see we have End of March, we're still pushing early giving. We're pushing that AZ Gives is a week away. The 1st of April, we're pushing another story because we want people to get hooked. We want to pull their heartstrings, right? What is going to make them want to open up their wallets and tell us what is tell us what's going to make them open up their wallets and give you those dollars. That's what we want. On the 4th, we send a social post that says AZ Gives is tomorrow. If you're feeling ambitious and you want to have a big email campaign, then I would do an email that day too. That one's a little bit optional, just depends on how pushy you want to be, or whether or not you think that that's going to be conducive to your fundraising goals, then do that thing. If you think that it's going to be too many emails, then don't. But tell people, AZ Gives this tomorrow. You don't have to wait. You can give today, right? Now, on the day, we have, pardon me, you should be doing constant social posts. And the great thing about all of the social media platforms now is you can schedule them out in advance. So even though it might seem like, oh, you want me to do how many posts? Well, I'm going to be real honest. Maybe you should do 5 posts on day 1 of AZ Gives, since AZ Gives is now really noon to noon. So it's 2 days. So maybe it's that you do 5 social posts on day 1 and you do 3 on day 2, but you need to have a robust campaign. You need to be using those hashtags. You need to be saying prevalent in the minds of your donors. The reason that we've moved to 2 days, noon to noon, is so that if people miss the day, they still haven't missed the day, right? There's 2 days in which people can interact with your organization. So you just want to keep your organization front of mind and exciting for people. So you can reuse those story posts. You can reuse those way to give posts. In an email, I would schedule an email for 11:45 because AZ Gives Day starts at noon. Hey, it's AZ Gives. It's time to give. Have you donated yet? You donated last year. Are you going to donate this year? If you want to do a targeted campaign, you could pull the details about who donated last year and say, hey, people who donated under $25, I'm going to send a targeted campaign to them that says, hey, thank you so much for donating last year. This year, it's our goal to increase our donations and meet this amount, $10,000, whatever you want. $500, $10,000, doesn't matter. Whatever your goal is, it's all legitimate. And then you say, did you know you can help us by donating $25 today? And sometimes by asking for those very specific dollar amounts, which is why I had you change the donation buttons early on, that is the number that you're most likely to get. So do that. Send emails. If you have a group of people who donated $75 or between $50 and $75, maybe you want to get them up to $100 this year. So you do a targeted campaign to get them up to $100. Whatever you need to do for your organization, great. Maybe you've never participated this year and you want to just give them a list. If you give $25, it buys paintbrushes for a month. If you give $50, it pays for feed for my donkey for a month. If you give $100, it covers mentors for children for a month, etc. But those specific outcomes of the dollar amounts make a significant difference to those donors. Now, you do that on day 1, and then to be quite honest, you also do it on day 2, right? You want to have a follow-up. Hey, have you, Arizona Gives Day, it's continuing today. It ends at noon. Have you given yet? If not, there's still time. Same thing with social media posts. To be honest, this is also where people tend to have very targeted campaigns to win prize pools, because we do have power hours, we do have golden tickets, etc. So if you want to focus on the 10 a.m. power hour, which I'm not saying that we are going to have one, but perhaps we do once that schedule comes out, then maybe it's that you send an email at 9:55 and you say, hey, supporters, I need you to donate now. Now's the time. And that'll drive. Maybe you send another one at 10:45. There's 15 minutes left. Help us win this power hour so that we can win a prize of this much. So that's all legitimate. Those are all valuable uses of your time and effort. Now, once AZ Gives is over, which you can do at the end of the second day, but by that time, if you're me or most people who are running their own campaigns, you're a little tired. So maybe you want to take the afternoon off. You want to figure out how much money you've received, what your donations are, how many donors you have, etc. So then the following day, you want to do those thank you emails and you want to do those thank you posts. And when you do that, it isn't just to your donors, right? Arizona Gives only exists because we have a significant number of sponsors. So you also might want to thank those AZ Gives sponsors just as a feel-good thank you measure, because we know that those sponsors are the things that help us keep going and subsisting with this program. But those thank yous are still important. It also gives you one more touchstone for you to say, thank you if you've donated. If you haven't donated on AZ Gives, did you know you can still donate today? Because for those of you who are new to AZ Gives, the AZ Gives platform is open all year round and can collect donations all year round for you. So you want to keep that in mind. You know, that thank you as we've met our goal, or oh no, we're $500 short of our goal. Can you help us meet our goal today? Right? So it's really asking, telling stories, drawing people in, getting them excited. All of this can be done using the tools that were given in the toolkit, or you can customize them, or you can make your own with some of the things that exist if you ask for the NITA files or if you just want to use the logos. Essentially, however, that is the strategy that I would take if I had a very, very small marketing team to work on this. Do we have questions? Do we have concerns? Are you saying, Angela, there's no way I can do all of this? It's impossible. Are you saying, this is not enough, we need to do more? I promise you, you can do more, but you don't have to. You also don't have to do as much as this and still have a successful day, but you still want to make sure you're communicating effectively and efficiently with the people who are already tied to your organization. So I'm going to stop share. Do we have questions?
There is nothing in the chat right now, but maybe give a few seconds more to see if anyone's typing anything up.
Of course. And yes, those donations made March 15th to April 6th. That's a long time to collect donations and have them count towards your AZ Gives total. So why wait just until the day if you can actually fundraise for 2 or 3 weeks? And I think, you know, a lot of people don't think about that, or a lot of people just focus on the prizes. And yes, the prizes are fabulous, but a lot of them are random draw. So who knows if you'll win or not? And, you know, there are a limited number of prizes versus getting the word out and making sure that you're connecting with your audience to get those donations. That's the key. Mike, videos, important or not? I would say it depends on whether or not you can do the videos well. Now, I will say, because everyone has Zoom, and most, well, not everyone, but most people have Zoom, or most people have our lovely smartphones, you can usually do videos pretty well. That being said, you want them to be short and you want them to be sweet. If you want them to go on social media, they really need to be under a minute. Otherwise, they don't perform well. If you want to email them out, same thing, because otherwise they can take up a lot of bandwidth and they become difficult to make it into people's inboxes. So I would say if you can do a video that's going to be effective in 1 minute or less, then yes. If you can't, then don't bother with it. A lot of times, images with the written word can be just as effective, if not more so. For those who may be wondering how I put the strategy together, so it's kind of a mix. So it's a mix of what I would do if I were going to be leading an Arizona Gives campaign, but also based on what I've seen nonprofits doing successfully to then have a really good donation year for AZ Gives. So that's something that a lot of people don't realize. Like, I am following all of the organizations that are participating in Arizona Gives. I'm seeing all of the emails they're sending out, all of their social posts, etc., so that I can see, oh, well, this organization did an amazing job with this email. I wanted to donate. And so, like, I saw this went out at this time on AZ Gives, and then I went onto their platform and they received all of these donations at that exact time. So it's kind of a mix both of just what I would do and also what I've seen nonprofits do in a successful way. All right. So we have about 30 people on. If people would like to unmute, I will brave that right now since we have some additional time. So feel free to do that thing. I'm going to put everyone on gallery so I can see them. Any questions? Has everyone planned their strategies already? And if you have not, what are you thinking about doing? Are you going to do emails? Are you going to do social? Something that I'm really interested in is the use of LinkedIn for social media. I think it's kind of a place that nonprofits have not been using for AZ Gives or for fundraising. And I've been seeing an increase in that, and that seems to be pretty successful. So that's something to think about. Judy, you're doing LinkedIn, Facebook, and our newsletter and newspaper. Great. Yeah, if you have local newspapers, then we definitely recommend participating in them. Something that people don't realize is that if you know of several organizations that are participating in AZ Gives and you're all from one local town or like a small town and there is a local newspaper, then you could potentially join together to do a larger ad and get a discounted rate because it's several of you on one ad. I've seen that happen successfully in some locations. When I lived up in the Verde Valley, there were some nonprofits that did that pretty well. So that's something to think about. And yes, Jen is putting in the chat, we should have the prize pool information finalized and up by Friday morning. We're very excited about it. Lots of prizes coming. I love assigning the prizes to people and then announcing them on our private Facebook group. That's always exciting for me. So watch out for that. What are other people doing? Do we have more questions? Do you have thoughts about something that you think would be successful that I didn't touch on today? Emma, I do not off the top of my head because it was a while ago. And yes, if you have general AZ Gives questions, you can also ask those at this time. Emma, I will say that if you go on the AZ Gives platform, you can sort by location. So that might be a good option if you're looking for someone to partner with to do some advertising at a discount. Anyone? Any questions? Everyone has their strategy ready to go. We have our emails. We have our social posts.
Is anyone, I have a question. This is Jennifer from the Alliance. Does anyone have currently working on a strategy to obtain or gather more emails or followers on your various social platforms? Has that been a focus for you either right now or even later last year, so that you can gain more followers and people to see your posts? I'm going to take that as a no. But that is a strategy that you could consider too right now, is to, getting your current followers as well as your board members to help introduce people to your organization and ask them to like and follow, what you're doing. We actually did that for Arizona Gives the first year that I came on board. We had a pretty low following on our Facebook page, and so we did what we call the likes campaign specifically for Facebook. And part of Angela's strategy at the Alliance is to help us increase our followers both on Arizona Gives social media channels, but also the Alliance. And so that's a constant thing to do throughout the year that can actually help you when you do online campaigns.
Tori, Dana, and you both just started in the marketing department, so you're trying to absorb all the info and get a plan going. Oh, well, Dana and Tori, you have started just at the right time because you have plenty of time to do a plan for AZ Gives. So welcome to the AZ Sustainability Alliance, and good luck. But I'm sure you'll do fabulous because you are on this call and you are thinking about actually putting a plan in place. I think that that's really part of it for AZ Gives. If you want to find success, those organizations that are hugely successful, make a lot of money, win prizes, etc., they have been working on their plan. They've been working at increasing their followers. And they know what it is that they're doing to be successful. They have their social down, they have their emails down, they have their volunteers creating fundraiser pages and sharing those. So that's all what I will suggest to you. And it's pretty low level, not super difficult to get complete and ready to go. And that's part of the reason that I created the document, so that if you wanted to use that as your first year plan, that's something that you could do. All right. I'm going to give people 2 more minutes if they want to unmute and ask a question or ask it in the chat. And then if not, then we're going to cut it about 10 minutes short because I know that we are all incredibly busy and need to get working on our AZ Gives work. All right, question from Emma. What do you think about asking for support for an event versus program support or something longer term? I think that's fine. I think you can ask for whatever you want as long as it's something that you think will resonate with the people who would be donating. So if it's an event, probably not a fundraising event, right? Maybe more of like a, I don't know, an event that helps your constituents that are related to your mission. But it could be for anything really, as long as it's something that would resonate with people, would be my suggestion. Okay. Karina, do you have any super secret questions that have been populated to you only?
No, I have not gotten any.
All right, I also have not gotten any. I will say that if any of you, as you're developing your strategy plan and you're like, can we do this? I don't know. What are we going to do? You can always email the marketing email and we will get back to you. There's no guarantee as we get closer to AZ Gives if we will be able to assist or provide feedback, but I'm more than happy to look at anything that you have. I like looking at marketing plans and strategy sessions. That's enjoyable for me. So feel free to do that. And that's marketing@arizonanonprofits.org. And with that, Karina just dropped in our session survey. So that's important to me. That's important to our funders. It tells me whether or not I did my job today. And I did talk very quickly. So please forgive me on that portion. She also, also, if you complete that within 1 week of today, then you have the chance to win $25 off any future Alliance training through the end of this year. And then additionally, she did put, well, the marketing toolkit is this one, Karina. So we do have Power Dynamics and Privilege tomorrow, a training that we're offering about DE&I. And then also next week, we are doing our sector check-in in which we're talking about tips for navigating the third year of the COVID pandemic. In particular, we're going to be talking about things to consider for HR needs, right? So what happens if a staff member gets sick? Etc. So all of those links are in the chat. We'll also include them in the follow-up email, and look for the follow-up email tomorrow with the recording to this, as well as all of those resources. And with that, thank you so much and have a great day.